Welcome to Football Discussion Daily. My name is Joe, and I'm here with the co-host
EGO.
CGO or George. Today is the 18th of March, 2026, and just a quick reminder: please subscribe on whatever a network you are following us on. We release every day shorter form stuff on Instagram and TikTok, and longer form on YouTube. Today was a big day because Champions League round of 16, leg 2. The second set of 4 games were today. Barcelona went through. They beat Newcastle 7-2. Tottenham beat Atletico Madrid 3-2, but lost on aggregate 5-7. Liverpool beat Galatasaray 4-0 and went through on aggregate. And Bayern Munich beat Atalanta 4-1 to go through on aggregate 10-2, which means George is going to put up the graphic for the Champions League games, but the round of 8, the quarterfinals are set. They are Real Madrid versus Bayern, Sporting versus Arsenal, PSG, Liverpool, and Barcelona versus Atletico Madrid. All right, George, first question of the day. Which game was most exciting for you? Any surprises today?
There is no surprise. Maybe the game between Tottenham and Atletico might be the only surprise because under Igor Tudor, this is their first victory since he came as their manager. So that's a good one for them. So that's the only surprise. I wasn't expecting them to win, even though they had a good outing against Liverpool in their Premier League game, which was quite an improvement for Tottenham since this year. So I was thinking maybe to end in a draw. I wasn't expecting they are going to win, but it's good they won because that will help build their confidence, and then that will help them because remember they're in the relegation battle in the Premier League. So this win is going to be a motivation, especially for a player like Xavi Simon, who was able to score a brace today. Today he had a very good game. I was very impressed the way he played today for Tottenham, which shows that guy is really waking up. He's really coming up, trying to meet up the expectation most people have where he is. Because when he was in Leipzig, everybody knew him as a very good player. So coming to the Premier League, the expectation was high. So I think it's a good one for him because this will boost his confidence, and we can see more good performance from Xavi Simon. So that's the only surprise for today.
I've never been super impressed with him. I've seen him play. He strikes me as a very talented player who hasn't been able to put it together, somewhat due to attitude issues. I'd love to be proved wrong. He's young, and obviously has a lot of talent given how much money and what clubs he's been at. But interesting to see. I agree with you though. I think that this game will be important for Tottenham's confidence in the run-in. They will be in a relegation run-in. Obviously, not something they hope for, and confidence is most important. We've seen. And even if they do go down, which is still possible, I do feel like going down with pride and with fight is very important. We see what Wolves have done the last couple of weeks. It's been tremendous. And Tottenham going out, not being embarrassed like they were last week, I feel like is a huge improvement in getting that win, even if it is inconsequential. George, Liverpool today played one of the best games they've played all season. It was end-to-end stuff. They scored some great goals. This could have been 10-0. Did you see the goal that was disallowed on Van Dijk? Because we've talked about consistency on corner officiating, George, and I was just curious. I felt this was ridiculous. What are your thoughts?
But I thought that it was McAllister that put the ball in the net.
Sorry, it was Van Dijk who headed the
ball.
ball.
Van Dijk nodded the ball, and then he had just a little contact with the goalkeeper, and then we had McAllister putting the ball at the back of the net, but the referee disallowed the goal. I feel maybe the reason why the referee decided to disallow the goal was based on the scoreline already, because the scoreline was already embarrassing. So because if it was a game, a goal that they really needed for them to move to the next stage, even Liverpool would have protested. You notice even when the goal was disallowed, they didn't really protest much because they were already cruising. But like you said, that's part of the inconsistency we talk about. That ball was a goal because the contact Van Dijk had with the goalkeeper was just a very minor contact. That ball would have been counted as a goal. So I'm
And a big
disappointed that the referee didn't count it to be a goal.
And a big differentiator for me is A, Van Dijk was looking at the ball the entire time.
Yes,
B, he touched the ball before he touched the goalie. The goalie
exactly.
did not touch the ball, and Van Dijk happened to hit the goalie afterwards. There's nothing about this that should ever be a foul. If it wasn't the goalie, nobody would even think twice about it.
That was a
In my
clear
opinion,
goal. A
in my
clear
opinion,
goal.
it's a clear goal. And George, I think that the fight should be fought against these referees on these inconsequential ones. Like we brought up the Kola Moana one a couple weeks ago. Earlier this season, in a game that Liverpool would have lost with every ref call in the world against Man City, I think it was Robertson scored a goal that was called wrongly offsides, if I remember right. I remember it being a wrong referee call again in the Man City game in November for Liverpool. Like last year, the Diaz call, or was that 2 years ago, the Diaz call where Diaz was offside against Tottenham. These calls, I feel like, yeah, if we should talk about them when in these inconsequential games, because the referees should have pressure on them, period. And they with yeah, I feel like these inconsequential ones are even more important to talk about because you can't just blow them off. You can just blow them
Yes.
off as it wouldn't impact the game, but it does impact how we view the fairness of the sport and the refereeing.
No, because if you look at that decision, it has denied McAllister of recording a goal in his name. And these things are things you remember when you even retire from the game. So
Yeah.
that's why every decision really matters. As much as Liverpool were already cruising, the right thing has to be done. And that's why I keep advocating for having a third party also being involved when it comes to maybe reviewing most of the decision being made by referee while the game is on. That will help it to create some kind of balance because you ask yourself, what was the VAR doing when the referee overruled that goal? The VAR would have called the referee to order and let him know, no, the contact was so slight. And moreover, Van Dijk was, in short, he nodded the ball before he even had that contact with the goalkeeper. So that ball was a clear goal, but it's unfortunate that the referee disallowed, he denied McAllister of registering a goal in his name in the
Yeah.
Champions League.
And
If
I believe that UEFA has a more mature referee accountability system than England does individually. I could be wrong on that. I'm speaking off the cuff here, but I do believe UEFA does have a mature post game dissection of each referee call. Was it right? What could they have done better? And gives that to referees with the intention of accountability. And the FA largely does not have that third party to do that. FA, the referee union, basically self-polices, and they're all friends, and so it really becomes, oh, we know nobody does anything wrong, that George and I are complaining about. In general, I feel like UEFA Champions League is refereed very well. I can't think of any egregious calls this year. As bad this one is bad, but it's not. I feel like there's a half a dozen worse ones in the Premier League this year.
no. When it comes to officiating, you always rate the Champions League officiating above the Premier League. The Premier League, there are lots of terrible decision makings that are being made by the officials, which is really very annoying and very irritating. So if it comes to officiating, I will always rate the UEFA Champions League officiating above the Premier League. The Premier League officiating, a lot still has to be done to create some level of consistency when it comes to officiating. That's what I think.
Yeah, George, another question. So I do feel like England is guaranteed 5 spots, but like, do you, as a Chelsea fan who is in the flux, could get fifth, could get fourth, could get sixth, do you root for other English teams like Newcastle, like hoping like, oh, let's get the England coefficient up to get the fifth spot, or are you more in the vote of like, I root against my rivals because they're my rivals? What is your thought process on that?
It's very sad that we have 4 English teams out of 6 English teams playing in the round of 16 being knocked out from the Champions League. It doesn't really, it's not a good one for the Premier League, if we are being honest, because this will make people come with the argument that this justifies the fact that you can say the Premier League is the best league in the world. that other teams from other leagues are also their leagues are also as competitive as the Premier League, because these are opportunities you use to assess different leagues. So if you have 4 out of 6 being knocked out from this stage, it means that a lot still has to be done by the Premier League teams. We might say there are factors that may have caused it, like when it comes to maybe play more tougher opposition in the Premier League, but that is not an excuse, because as a club, you're supposed to have what we call squad depth that
George,
can
let me
manage every competition.
can I reframe my question? Do you root against other teams in Europe, or do you root English teams in Europe, like today Newcastle or Tottenham, or do you root for them because they're part of England? I know you're a Chelsea fan.
Well, I won't say I don't I won't say I root for any. I only root for Chelsea. I don't root for
Okay.
any other club in the English
You don't
Premier
actively
League.
root for or against other English teams, because I'll
No,
I'll
no, no.
actively root. I'll actively support against English teams just because I have a history of bad memory. You know, every single club has beaten Brentford at some point. We've beaten every club. It's been great, but I'll root against these teams for the sake of rooting against them. I don't really
Probably,
care.
probably even if I would maybe root against any club in the Premier League, maybe those are the arch rivals of Chelsea. Those are the kind of clubs maybe one might say, okay, maybe let me root against this team. But one thing I believe is that your destiny is in your hands. If you play very well and you deserve to move to the next phase, well, good luck to you. Because
Yeah.
I don't have any control on how a team going to perform. So I wish every team the best, the best they wish themselves. So that's the way. That's my own belief, because I'm not into much of banter. It's not my thing. I just support my team and Chelsea, and then hope things get better for them. So, but if other teams are doing well, like Arsenal, you will know Arsenal and Chelsea are rivals. But Arsenal currently they are playing well, so they deserve to be where they are at the moment, and we just have to accept that reality.
First off, George, you like banter. I banter you all the time, and you enjoy it. Second off, I'm not sure Chelsea is this in Arsenal are these historical rivals. I think that, you know, not in the sense that like Arsenal and Tottenham are, or Liverpool and Manchester United, or Man City, or Liverpool and Everton, or Man City, Man United. I think Chelsea's main rivals, are probably Fulham, because they're just so close. You can walk to the stadiums in like 20 minutes. QPR is pretty close as well. So I don't think that our Chelsea are quite that level with Chelsea. Arsenal's closer to like Liverpool, Man City. Yes, they are both good at the same time, and there's tension because of that. But I don't know if they have quite the rivalry that those other players I mentioned.
Most times there's this argument of which team is the best in London. So a lot of Chelsea fans will tell Arsenal fans that you've never won the Champions League before. And this is one of the things they use to banter the Arsenal fans. The Arsenal fans will tell you, no, we've won more domestic titles than you. So the argument is just there.
And they'll
So
also say, and I think there's merit here, that Chelsea's titles were bought. And I feel like there's merit there. And the best team in London is Brentford. So this is the discussion for the second best team in London. George, did you watch that Newcastle Barcelona? Did you watch anything from that Newcastle Barcelona game? Because I saw a player who's 37 score 2 great goals. I saw Lamine Yamal miss one of the biggest chances I've seen. I saw Anthony Elanga score 2 good goals and
yes,
give hope to Newcastle. And Eddie Howe, after the game, I feel like he has nothing to be disappointed about. I feel like he's a fantastic manager who was outmatched today. What were your thoughts?
no, honestly, when it was when Barcelona scored for us and then Elanga equalized, Barcelona went ahead again. Elanga equalized. I was thinking it's going to be a highly contested game. Newcastle were very shambolic when it comes to their defensive department. This is not what I saw them display against Chelsea. I don't know, maybe will I call it tiredness as a result of the game they played against Chelsea? Well, I don't know if that's the reason, but Newcastle really disappointed me, especially in the second half, because Barcelona dominated almost the whole part of the second half. I didn't see much effort from the Newcastle team in the second half. They played well in the first half. Second half was very shambolic. And to be honest with you, Barcelona worked so hard. They showed that they really needed the win, and they fired at all cylinders, got the required result that took them to the next round. So it's a well-deserved victory for Barcelona. We all know when you go to the new camp, it's not an easy ground. It's not a place you go to and get a result
One of
easily.
the
It's a
hardest
very
one of the
yes.
hardest spots in Europe. And Barcelona too this year is very good. Hansi Flick is also a very good coach, who has experience in Europe, has won this competition before, and yeah, he's a fantastic coach. Good luck to Bayern in the next round.
But Joe, one of the concern I have about Barcelona is their defense. If it comes to attacking, they can score as many goals as possible. But one thing they need to be conscious about is the day you play against a team that is defensively solid and has a good attack, they might suffer against such a team. So I don't know what you think about that. Do you think with the way they concede goals, do you think that is going to affect them moving to the next round?
I think Barcelona's best player is Pedri, and he has an injury history. And I think if he's healthy, they're as good as anybody. And I think if he's hurt, they can get beat by anybody. I think if he plays a full 90 minutes, I'd say they're right up there with the best teams in Europe, with Bayern, with PSG, with Arsenal. He's hurt a lot, and they struggle when he's hurt. Is my thought on that. But I watch I've seen Barcelona like 5-6 times all season, mostly in the Champions League, maybe one or two La Liga games, and so. This is based on years of watching. Last year I watched several games too, maybe a dozen. This is my personal thought.
So if I ask you now, because from the way I'm looking at things, I see a Barcelona Arsenal playing the semi-final. Now, if that happens, do you think Barcelona will stand a chance against an Arsenal team that is defensively solid? And when it comes to scoring goals, they've been better off. I think they've been scoring so well also in the Champions League. So do you
Yeah,
think Barcelona will stand a chance against an Arsenal team that is defensively solid?
yeah, I do feel like Arsenal's defensive solidarity is a large part due to team structure, and like they intentionally are very conservative in their game plan, which I do feel like could bite them against teams with a lot of individual quality up top. And that defensive structure can break down when a team has two or three players who can beat your players one-on-one on the wings consistently. And if Yamal can do that, it's going to break Arsenal's structure a bit. And I do feel like Yamal can do that on the left back on Arsenal, whoever that starter would be in that game. And so, yes, I do feel like that would be an exciting game to watch as a neutral. I do feel like it can go either way because Arsenal obviously has quality too to score if they set up differently. And I think it'll be a very interesting game. But
So
George, they still have to win their semifinals first, and
no,
yeah,
quarterfinals,
their
quarterfinals
quarterfinals first.
before. Yeah.
Yes.
So what do you have to say about Harry Kane scoring his 50th goal in the Champions League in 66 appearances, and he is the first English player to do that. And then we also have Mohamed Salah, who scored his 50th goal in the Champions League on his 97th appearance. He's the first African to do that. These are
Interesting.
two guys who have made history. When it comes to the Champions League, Harry Kane has made history for England. And then when it comes to Mohamed Salah, he has made history as an African. What do you have to say about that?
Credit to them. I think both players are more proud of their team accomplishments. I think Salah in particular has got to be disappointed in himself for missing a penalty today.
Yes.
He did not do well until Liverpool were already up 3-0 and then exploded. Hopefully maybe that'll give him confidence going forward. This might be Mo Salah's last Champions League season when Harry Kane looks like he has several more years left in him. He's also less dependent on physicality and pace, and is a much more technical player at this point in their careers than Salah is. So I feel like Harry Kane can plow through. Harry Kane's also had a very different career where he stayed on a team that was probably below his capabilities for longer than he might have if his only goal was winning the Champions League. And now he's on a team that can fully match his ambitions and is one of the favorites. So very different careers for these two. I think Mo Salah was Mo Salah's first Champions League goal for Chelsea, for Basel? Was it for Fiorentina, for Roma? Who was it for?
I want to believe it it should be, I think, Basel or so, but I'm not too sure because I knew
Yeah,
he played for Basel before he joined Chelsea, and then from Chelsea he went to AS Roma, and then from AS Roma, then he came to Liverpool. So, and I know he had played Champions League games for most of these teams.
yeah, and I know, yeah, he scored. The several games I remember, he scored against that Man City team. One that he got 100 points, and he scored a couple of goals against Roma, in his second season in Liverpool, which was an awesome game. All right, so George, let me tomorrow we're going to talk about the matchups for next round. So today we just talked about today's, but let me just frame the questions for the day. Please respond. Number one, what was the best goal of the day for you? What was the best performance from a player? Which quarterfinal are you most excited for? And did any of the round of 16 results surprise you? Let us know your thoughts, and thank you for listening.